The beeping of my son's heart monitor echoed through the hospital room as I clutched the denial letter from my parents' accountant. Outside, through the dreary hospital windows, I could see the ocean. The same ocean where my brother Marcus's new beach house was being built, funded by our parents' family emergency fund. "I'm sorry, Olivia," my father's message read. "The fund is depleted after Marcus's house. Tommy's surgery will have to wait. He's young, he'll bounce back." Bounce back. As if my 8-year-old son's congenital heart condition was just a scraped knee. I looked at Tommy, sleeping fitfully in his hospital bed. His chest rose and fell irregularly, each breath a reminder of the time we were running out of. The doctors had been clear. Without the surgery in the next month, his condition would deteriorate beyond repair. My phone buzzed with another message, this time from Marcus, sending photos of his beach house construction. "Check out the infinity pool," he wrote. "Mom and Dad really outdid themselves. $500,000 well spent." I fought back tears, remembering yesterday's conversation with my parents. $85,000 isn't that much, I had pleaded. It's literally life or death for Tommy. "We can't play favorites, Olivia," Mom had said, sipping her expensive wine. "We just gave Marcus his share. It wouldn't be fair to dip into our retirement now." "Fair?" I choked out. "You're comparing a luxury beach house to my son's heart surgery." "Marcus has worked hard," Dad had interjected. "He deserves this reward. Besides, can't you get a loan?" A loan. As if I hadn't already mortgaged my house, sold my car, and emptied my savings. As a single mother and teacher, I'd stretched every dollar, but it wasn't enough. The insurance covered only part of the specialized surgery Tommy needed. A soft knock at the hospital door pulled me from my thoughts. It was Dr. Rivera, Tommy's cardiologist. "How are his numbers today?" I asked, trying to sound strong. She checked his charts, her expression grave. "They're declining faster than we anticipated. Olivia, if we don't do the surgery within 3 weeks." She didn't need to finish. I knew what was at stake. My phone buzzed again, another message from Marcus. "Having a housewarming party next weekend. Dad's buying the yacht to dock here too." A yacht. While my son fought for his life. "Ms. Mitchell." A man in a crisp suit appeared at the door. "I'm James Wheeler, your grandfather's attorney. May I have a moment?" Grandpa George had passed away 2 months ago. I'd missed the funeral because Tommy had been in the hospital. "Your grandfather left specific instructions for me to check on you today," Mr. Wheeler said, pulling out a thick envelope. "He wanted me to verify if your parents had helped with Tommy's surgery." I shook my head, confusion mixing with grief. "They refused. Said they'd spent the family emergency fund on Marcus's beach house." Mr. Wheeler's expression hardened. "I see. Your grandfather suspected this might happen. That's why he made certain arrangements." He opened the envelope, revealing documents that made my hands shake. 2 years ago, your grandfather secretly established a medical trust for Tommy. He knew about the heart condition and your parents' priorities. The trust contains $2 million specifically for Tommy's medical care. I collapsed into the chair beside Tommy's bed. $2 million? Additionally, Mr. Wheeler continued, he left you controlling interest in the family company. 51% of the shares. Your parents and Marcus aren't aware of this yet. The official reading is tomorrow. My mind spun. The family company. The one my parents had used to fund their lavish gifts to Marcus. The one they claimed was too complex for me to understand. Your grandfather's note, Mr. Wheeler said, handing me a sealed envelope. He asked that you read it alone. After he left, I opened Grandpa's letter with trembling fingers. My dearest Olivia, I've watched your parents favor Marcus your entire life, but I stayed quiet, hoping they'd change. When they dismissed Tommy's condition while funding Marcus's extravagances, I knew I had to act. The company shares are your shield and sword. Use them wisely. The medical trust is your guarantee that Tommy will get the care he needs. Your parents and brother will learn about this tomorrow, but I wanted you to know first, to be prepared for their reaction. Remember, true family protects its own. Love, Grandpa George. Tommy stirred in his bed, his eyes fluttering open. Mom, are you crying? I wiped my tears, managing a smile. Happy tears, baby. We're getting your surgery. Everything's going to be okay. My phone buzzed again. A message from my parents. Family meeting tomorrow at the lawyer's office. Mandatory attendance. I looked at their message, then at Tommy, then at the company documents in my hands. For years, I'd watched them favor Marcus, dismiss my needs, and now endanger my son's life. Tomorrow, they would learn that karma sometimes comes in the form of a grandfather's careful planning. I texted back one word, okay. The heart monitor kept beeping steadily, but now each beat felt less like a countdown and more like a drumbeat leading to tomorrow's reckoning. The law office lobby felt colder than Tommy's hospital room. My parents sat rigidly on one side, Marcus sprawled confidently on the other, all of them shooting questioning glances at my calm demeanor. Why is she here? Marcus whispered loudly to Mom. This is about the company's succession. Before anyone could respond, Mr. Wheeler entered, carrying the familiar thick folder of documents. Shall we begin? Dad straightened his tie. Just formalities, right? The company transfers to Marcus as discussed. Actually, Mr. Wheeler said, opening the folder, there have been some changes. The next 10 minutes rewritten my family's power dynamic. With each revelation, the color drained from their faces. Controlling shares to me, the medical trust for Tommy. Grandpa's explicit instructions about company management. This is impossible. Marcus jumped up. She doesn't know anything about business. Your sister has an MBA, Mr. Wheeler stated flatly. She's been running her own successful educational consulting firm for 5 years. Your grandfather was quite aware of her capabilities. My parents sat in stunned silence as Mr. Wheeler continued reading. The beach house funds would need to be repaid to the company. The yacht purchase was canceled. All major financial decisions now required my approval. Olivia, Mom finally spoke, her voice honey-sweet. Surely we can discuss this as a family? Like we discussed Tommy's surgery? I asked quietly. Or Marcus's beach house? That was different, Dad protested. The beach house is an investment. And my son's life isn't. My voice remained calm, but my hands shook slightly. Yesterday you said you couldn't spare $85,000 for his surgery. Today I learned you approved another $200,000 for Marcus's yacht. Marcus leaned forward. Look, sis, maybe we can make a deal. You sign over the shares and we'll consider helping with Tommy's. The surgery is already scheduled, I interrupted. The trust covers everything. Tommy doesn't need your consideration anymore. You can't run the company, Dad said desperately. You don't understand our business relationships, our deals. You mean like the deal to sell the company's lakefront property to Marcus for 1/10 of its value? I pulled out another document. Grandpa kept excellent records. Their faces paled further. That deal had been their next gift to Marcus. The company isn't your personal piggy bank anymore, I continued. Things are going to change. You turn against your own family? Mom asked, tears welling up. Family? I laughed softly. Family would have saved my son's life before building a beach house. Family wouldn't have watched me mortgage my house while buying Marcus a yacht. Mr. Wheeler cleared his throat. There's more. The company audit reveals several questionable transactions. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. I've arranged for a forensic accountant to review everything from the past 5 years. Any inappropriate personal expenses will need to be repaid. You do this to your own brother? Marcus sputtered. My brother? I turned to him. My brother who posted Instagram stories about his infinity pool while his nephew was in intensive care. That brother. The room fell silent except for the sound of my mother's quiet sobs. I have a board meeting to prepare for, I said, gathering my things. Mr. Wheeler will explain the new company policies. Any questions about repayment schedules can go through him. Wait. Dad called as I reached the door. What do you want? There must be something we can offer. I turned back one last time. What I wanted was parents who cared about their grandson's life as much as their son's beach view. What I wanted was a brother who thought about someone besides himself. What I got instead was a lesson in how money reveals people's true characters. The company will be ruined, Marcus threatened. No, I replied. It will be saved. From all of you. As I walked out, Mr. Wheeler handed me one final envelope. Another note from Grandpa. Olivia, by now they know. Remember, running a company isn't about power. It's about responsibility. You have both the compassion and strength to do what's right. Tommy will live, the company will thrive, and maybe, just maybe, they'll learn something about true family values. Love, Grandpa. I drove straight to the hospital, where Tommy was sitting up, coloring a picture of what looked like a superhero. Is everything okay, Mom? He asked, seeing my expression. Better than okay. I smiled, sitting beside him. How about after your surgery, we take that trip to Disney World you've been asking about? His eyes lit up. Really? But I thought we couldn't afford it. Things have changed, I said, helping him with his coloring. Sometimes life has a way of balancing things out. My phone buzzed with messages from my parents and Marcus, but I ignored them. Tomorrow, I'd start reviewing the company books. Tomorrow, I'd begin reshaping the family legacy. Tomorrow, I'd show them what real business leadership looks like. But today was for Tommy. Today was for watching my son color his superhero picture, his heart monitor beeping steadily, his future finally secure. 3 months after Tommy's successful surgery, I sat in what used to be my father's office, reviewing the latest company reports. The changes had been swift and significant. The forensic audit had uncovered years of personal expenses disguised as business costs, all benefiting Marcus and my parents. A knock on my door interrupted my thoughts. It was Marcus, looking considerably less polished than usual. His designer clothes had been replaced by off-the-rack wear, and his usual smugness was gone. The real estate agent listed the beach house, he said, dropping into a chair. Happy now? I closed my laptop. The company's stock has risen 40% since the restructuring. Our employees received their first proper bonus in 5 years. So yes, I'm happy. Mom and Dad had to downsize their house, he continued as if I hadn't spoken. They're living in a regular neighborhood now, like common people. Like I've lived all my life? I raised an eyebrow. How horrifying for them. Before he could respond, my assistant Sarah buzzed in. Tommy's here for lunch, Mrs. Mitchell. Tommy bounded in, his cheeks pink with health, his surgery scar barely visible above his collar. Mom, I got an A on my science project. Marcus watched as I hugged Tommy, his expression unreadable. This was the nephew he'd barely acknowledged existed, too busy with his beach house plans to visit in the hospital. How are you feeling, buddy? Marcus asked awkwardly. Tommy looked at him with surprise. It was the first time his uncle had ever really spoken to him. Great. Dr. Rivera says my heart is super strong now. Mom and I are going hiking this weekend. Listen, Olivia, Marcus said after Tommy went to wait in the outer office. I've been thinking, maybe I was wrong about some things. Some things. Okay, a lot of things, he admitted. Watching Tommy today, he really could have died, couldn't he? I pulled out a file. These are his medical records from before the surgery. Read them. As Marcus read through the desperate prognosis we faced, his hands began to shake. I had no idea it was this serious. Mom and Dad said it was just a minor condition. They said what they needed to say to justify their choices, I replied. Just like they justified every advantage they gave you while telling me to work harder. I've had to work now, he said quietly. Actually work. My first real job starts next week. The entry-level position in our marketing department? He nodded. Sarah said I have to start at the bottom like everyone else. No special treatment. Sarah's good at her job. You should listen to her. A notification popped up on my computer. The company's charitable foundation had just funded another pediatric cardiac unit at the city hospital. The first one, named after Tommy, had already helped 3 families who couldn't afford surgery. The foundation, Marcus said, noticing the notification. That was a good idea. Even Dad admitted it. Dad admitted something. I couldn't hide my surprise. They've changed, Olivia. We all have. Losing everything. It makes you think. You haven't lost everything, I corrected him. You lost excess. There's a difference. He stood up, straightening his non-designer tie. My shift at marketing starts in 20 minutes. I should go. Marcus, I called as he reached the door. Tommy's having a birthday party next month. A small one, just family. Real family, you should come. His eyes widened slightly. Really? People can change, I said. Grandpa taught me that. After he left, I went to have lunch with Tommy in the small garden we created on the office building's roof. He was already setting up our usual picnic spot. Uncle Marcus looked different, Tommy observed, biting into his sandwich. People sometimes need to lose things to find better parts of themselves, I explained. Like how you lost your old job but found this cool company? I smiled at his simple wisdom, exactly like that. My phone buzzed. A message from Mom. The neighborhood children played in our yard today. I found myself enjoying their laughter. I never heard children laugh at the old house. Too many walls, too much space, too much everything. I miss you and Tommy. Another message followed. Your father's teaching math at the community center. He says it reminds him of when he used to help you with homework before everything. I showed Tommy the messages. What do you think, buddy? Should we have Sunday dinner with Grandma and Grandpa this weekend? He thought for a moment. The doctor said my heart is stronger now. Maybe their hearts can get stronger too. Out of the mouths of babes. That evening, as Tommy and I walked through our modest but happy home, I found Grandpa's last letter again. The final lines stood out. Money doesn't make a family, Olivia. Love does. Sometimes people forget that. Sometimes they need to lose the money to find the love again. Trust the process. Trust yourself. I texted my parents back. Sunday at 6, bring dessert. Tommy wants to show you his science project. Sometimes karma doesn't just strike back, it strikes forward, clearing a path to something better than revenge, redemption. Tommy's laughter echoed through our home, stronger than any beeping hospital monitor, richer than any beach house view, more valuable than any company shares. That's the thing about karma. It doesn't just balance the scales. Sometimes, if you're lucky, it rebuilds what was broken, stronger than before.